So I know the title of this video is How a Fishing Guide Actually Makes Money, but what I'm really going to talk about is how we make extra money in ways that you probably aren't thinking of. And I couldn't title the video that, or no one would want to click on it. But basically, what it is I'll give you kind of a exaggerated example just to drive the point home. But imagine if I was selling a $100 service, okay? And say I was operating on 20% margins. So, okay, you give me $100 and then I have $20 for profit after all expenses are paid. All right, now if you said, let me give you a $20 tip. Okay, well now that just took my profit from $20 to $40 because tips are just basically pure profit. So what that does is it literally just took us from 20% margin to 40% margins. So it literally doubled the profit margins. And that's what the thing is. The thing that fishing guides make a lot of money off that you might not be as aware of is tips. And I'm telling you, tips is such a huge source of revenue for fishing guides. And a lot of times I would say the average is probably like 20%. So sure, I give you the example of 20% margins, but I'm also talking about 20% tips, just to clarify. So I charge $500 for a trip most of the time, so a 20% tip would be $100. Now, in the example I gave you, since it was exaggerated, I know that I said 20% margins, which is really low for a service business like this. I normally try to keep my margins at 80 to 90% at least. So sure, like a tip isn't going to double your profit margins, but it sure does help a lot. And you know, it usually covers, so if I know I'm kind of going off in the weeds and getting really technical about this, but the point that I'm trying to make is that tips do more for your actual profit than it just looks like. Like you're like, oh, he charges, you know, $400 or $500, whatever it is for a trip, and gets a 20% tip. But when you actually look at the math and break it down, like, oh, okay, like what it does for your profit, because again, tips are just basically adding pure profit, it can make some huge leaps. Like you can be talking, like it can increase your profit, you know, 5, 10, 15% or something like that, depending on what kind of margins you run. So that's actually the big unlock for profit, besides just the fact that like obviously people pay you for the trip. But tips are where it is at.